power and the misery of the void. The world we know, of blood and steel, and the world that watches and dreams.
Something's out there, kiddo. Watching us.
If I could have shown her how catalogs of possible futures fanned out from the moment I could choose.
A color you have never seen. Imagine it. That is where you are.
Mama's not herself, Ralph.
If you were alone in that drift, you'd need a friend. Even like me. You mad at me, kiddo? Did you forget? You owe me. You owe me. Rap, tap, tap.
The Void, an infinite dimension that exists parallel to our own, a warped reflection of time and space that violates the laws of science and reason. But it is far more than just an alternate pocket dimension. For you see, the Void itself is active, driven by a vast and uncaring will that consumes all who delve within its depths. Initially discovered by the Orokin Empire, the Void was seen as a potential way for faster-than-light travel, allowing the Empire to expand with ease. However, as they began to study it, the Orokin found that the Void defied their attempts at understanding, violating all known laws of physics that had been established since time immemorial. But as expected of the Orokin, their hubris did not permit them to be deterred by their lack of understanding. Instead, they merely harnessed the Void for their own gain, not understanding the powers they bend to their will. For this reason, the Orokin saw themselves as gods, infallible beings that brought to heel an entire plane of reality. Understanding was not needed when they had control. This narcissistic worship led to the establishment of the vain faith, the ruling law and religion within the Orokin Empire that dictated that the Orokin were gods incarnate, without fault or folly. The Orokin turned the Void to their own purposes: power, folding space, and weaponry beyond comprehension. But while the Orokin were content with not understanding the alternate hellscape of the Void, its true nature would eventually come to be understood, though not until it was far too late. It fell upon the Entrati, the primary experts of the Void and its properties, to delve into the secrets it offered. Through their work, they gained a true understanding of the Void. The Void is essentially a sea of time and space, all possibilities of all timelines mapped out and left as amorphous possibilities, infinite fourth-dimensional ether. As timelines are made obsolete, they are discarded, leaving only the true existence forever immortalized within the Void's expanse. So while the future has infinite possibilities once made true, the timeline of the past is anchored and set, or at least that seems to be the case as of now. Perhaps this is why the massive Orokin structure known as the Tuberficid roams the Void. It feeds upon the dead and discarded echoes of time, similar to the organism it gains its namesake from. While I am very poorly equipped to understand the real theoretical science, the Void seems to be related to the real-world concepts of world lines, string theory, and other fourth-dimensional concepts. The Entrati's work would in turn inspire Parvos Granum's interest in the Void, and lead to his discovery of what he later dubbed spectre particles. These particles served as snapshots of time in a sense, echoes that could in turn be modified and manipulated at will. Their very nature being to catalog time itself, they would quickly be used to create clones of a sort, and their relation to time would in turn lead to Protea's inception. Similarly, Endo likely draws its power from the Void, as Endo is concentrated memory. As the Void is a collection of all time and space, it's possible that Void energy is memory in a way, and thusly, Endo is concentrated or refined Void energy in turn. This is why it is called Endo, as it refers to the inner, thoughts, skills, and memories contained within, physical form that has absorbed the reality and time of the Void. The Entrati would also go on to create other devices and technologies centered around the Void, and while currently they are somewhat shrouded in mystery, I will attempt to address them nonetheless. The first is the Celestial Clock, a massive device that is likely used to determine accurate points in space-time, an anchor or a compass depending on its use at the time. Rather than being thrown to the pure chaos of all time, this device serves as a lifeline for those plunging the depths of the void. It is also possible that this concept of an anchor is similar to the Deviri mask seen in the Deviri Paradox trailer, as it maintains its color in the black and white voidscape, showing how it is anchored to our own reality and time, giving its wearer a small form of protection from the void proper. The Entrati also created the object currently only known as the Mirror, a device that allows one to venture into the void in a more controlled manner when compared to the violent void storms that occasionally plague the system. The Entrati are also very likely the minds behind the technology of the reliquary drives and their ability to traverse void space. They essentially rip a piece of the void into our reality and use it, like many of their other technologies, as a sort of compass and anchor for the ships utilizing it. What exactly this piece of void is seems to be rather unsettling. It would seem that the void itself has a physical form of some kind, and when we tear a piece of it away into our reality, it manifests as a limb, a finger. This can be seen how the man on the wall taunts us by waving at us with one finger held down soon after we activate the reliquary drive, and also why we can hear the whispers of the void when drawing near to the device. Why exactly it is a finger is unclear. It could possibly be that the void's physical representation, when not mirroring our own, is some sort of massive amalgam of flesh. Or it could potentially be that when given form, a piece of the void becomes representative of a body part, as we have essentially taken a piece of the void's body for our own use. The Entrati understood how the void relates to causality, and how by delving into it, one could be untethered from the very concept itself. The isolation chambers they created would allow individuals to safely re-tether to time and place after long exposure to the void's chaos. The void is the dimension that watches, catalogs all of time within itself, and dreams, by foreseeing the future outcomes and their potential. This is why the Corpus hold the void in a deific regard, as the void itself is potential unrealized, causality that has yet to be given cause, the ultimate realization of the Corpus belief and their worship of desire. But this is more than just a metaphor, for the void is indeed aware. Its motivations are unknown, and it is not certain what drives it, though it is most certainly malevolous or pernicious in its actions. Rel, outcast on the Zariman, was able to discern the void's true nature, and hold its gaze, its lidless eye, by trapping himself within a transference loop for centuries, acting as a flame for which the eye of the void could be drawn to. But now that Rel has at last been given rest, the void is less distracted and more active. What once would have only manifested as the occasional vision or loss of clarity now has become full-blown apparitions that plague Arteno's mind. As the void is a mirror of our reality, our void exposure manifests itself as a reflection of us, of our soul. For the void seems to be drawn to Arteno, as they offer it a method to become incarnate within our dimension. While the void can view our reality through a window of sorts, it cannot enter by normal means. However, the Tenno, existing on the fold between worlds, are essentially a small opening that the void can enter through. Other small openings, such as void tears or void-touched individuals such as the Quills or Palladino, are also openings, but significantly less apparent and less likely to draw the void's attention. Essentially, whenever a Tenno walks between the worlds, they open a door, a gate for which the void's power briefly manifests, allowing a small portion of its corrupting mind to leach through. Thus, Rel tricked the void by keeping his doorway open and allowing the void to flood through. This gave him incredible powers, but eroded his mind. Because the void uses Tenno as a conduit to enter our reality, the Tenno are imbued with its powers, not only its raw energies, but its prescient abilities, seeing the void, what most describe as an infinite expanse of starless black, as a teeming sea of infinite realities, churning as possibility becomes reality, drawing ribbons of time throughout infinity that only our Tenno can perceive. The void is also what is responsible for the Oro, or the soul, a snapshot of reality that allows the Tenno to survive death, a sort of metaphysical restore point that they can call upon at will. The Sentients learned a method to craft incomplete versions of this Oro, their arcane Oro, and thus are the only beings capable of killing a Tenno for good, though the same is true the other way. For an Oro can only be destroyed by another Oro, consuming it and nullifying its energies, resulting in the bearer's permanent death. The Orokin emperors of old likely also knew of a way to grant themselves Oro, once again meaning that only the Tenno could have executed the coup at the terminus during the absolution ceremony. It also bears mentioning of Kuva, a coalescence of Oro, and its ability to widen the doorway for the void to enter. Should our Tenno or another being with Oro such as Mother Sentience consume this Kuva, they will gain a stronger connection to the void via a revitalized Oro, but increase the void's grip upon them. Even the Quills experience this to a smaller extent, as the temple Kuva gifted to them by the Unum grants them a small glimpse into the future and limited control over the powers of causality. The Entrati developed the Requiem concepts, and the connection to the void that Kuva affords is why they are used to sever liches from their immortal bond. By calling upon these arcane concepts, they can essentially dispel the tethers to the void that the Kuva imbues its hosts with. Our Tenno is continuously plagued by the uncaring will of an extra-dimensional being. What it desires is unclear, if it truly desires anything at all. But the Tenno must remain vigilant, fighting to ensure that they do not fall plague to the void's manipulation, using the void as a tool and not the other way around. But until the time comes when the Tenno can at last free themselves from the void's grasp, this is what we know.